Okay, Civil Engineering and Architecture class. This is Mr. Voigt. We are beginning, you should have at this point drawn on Revit your utility shed, or if you're not all the way done, you should be close. And what we do is we use that utility shed to, I'll show you our utility shed here. So this is our utility shed design. What we do with this utility shed is figure out how many materials we need to build it. So again, we are doing this. So this is our basic design of our utility shed. Now this does not have dimensions on it, but that's fine. We could always go back and put dimensions in it if we needed to. So if you remember right, oops. We can go ahead and click these and I can move them out here. So we get these dimensions. That should be 16. That's a little bit more than 16. Gosh darn it. And this should be 12. That's not quite 12. So really there's kind of an issue with this particular shed. We should go ahead and make this 12 feet like so. We'll say 12. So now it's 12 and we should go ahead and make this 16. But this is the shed we're using. Lord Almighty. So there's our shed, 16 by 12. So the first thing that we're going to do is in activity 2.2.1, if I come back here, we figured out, and we did this together, we figured out the things you would need to pour that concrete foundation. Okay, and those things are right here. If you remember, here's the size of our shed, right? So we had to figure out for the concrete, we had to, because the units that they price concrete at are cubic yards. That is a volume measurement. So we took the 16 feet times 12 feet, and it is 4 inches thick. In this activity, they say pour this at 4 inches thick. 4 inches is 1/3 of a foot. Okay, 4 inches goes into 12 3 times. So it's 0.33 feet. So these are all in the same units, 16 inches, 12 inches, 0.33 inches. When we multiply those together, we get 63.36 cubic feet are in that piece of concrete. So a cubic foot is a piece of concrete that is 1 foot wide by 1 foot tall by 1 foot deep, right? To convert that to cubic yards, for every cubic yard, there are 27 cubic feet. And I can explain that to you another time. I don't have time on this video right now, but I would draw it out and show you. Anyway, so you divide that by your 27 and you get 2.35 cubic yards. So you would call up the concrete plant and tell them you need 2.5 cubic yards. You'd probably round this up to the nearest half cubic yard. Okay. Then we add 10%. Down here, we take 2.35 and then we add, if you just move the decimal over, right? 0.235 and we get 2.585, which we round up to 2.6. We would probably just round this to 2.5 because they're probably not going to sell us a 2.6 cubic yard load. It'll probably be 2, 2.5, 3, something like that. If we get 3 cubic yards, it'll be way too much. But if we get 2.5, we should have plenty, right? So that's how we do that. Then we would take this. We can go ahead and use this to do our cost estimate. We'll take our 2.5 times the amount that the concrete costs per cubic yard, and we'll get our total cost for our concrete. To form this up, in other words, we have to put a board here, a board here, a board on this side, and a board on that side to hold the concrete into that rectangular shape. Since it's 4 inches thick, we have to get what we call a 2x6 board. That 2x6, the measurement of a 2x6 is actually, it'll look like this. if I look at the end of it and it goes like so, it'll actually be 1.5 inches this way and 5.5 inches this way. If it was a 2x4, it would be 1.5 by 3.5. Since we have to be a full 4 inches thick, we can't use a 2x4. We have to buy a 2x6, which is 5.5 inches wide, and cut 1.5 inches off the length of it, this way. We'll cut this part off so that this is 4 inches so that we can form up our floor. So we would buy two 16-foot 2x6 boards right here and two 12-foot boards right here. So in our notebooks, notice I'm not figuring out the prices in here. I'm just figuring out amounts. So we're going to have, this is going to round to 2.5 cubic yards. And we're going to get two 16-foot 2x6s and two 12-foot 2x6s. And then there's rebar that goes in here. And I don't want to rehash this whole thing, but we had a 3-inch cushion all the way around. We had a 2-foot grid in here. So every 2 feet you had a piece of rebar going this way. And every 2 feet you had a piece of rebar going this way. And they came in 10-foot sections, right? And so I don't want to go through and explain this, and they had to overlap a certain amount. But when we figured it all out, we got 23 pieces of 10-foot rebar. That would be another video for us to do that. We should have done that in class. But anyway, so what's happening here is I'm going to then take those numbers that I have right here, and I'm going to type them into this spreadsheet that I've shared with you, but and I've already put prices in here. So I have $125 per cubic yard in here for my concrete. And I said 2.5 cubic yards, right? So then it does the calculation for me. I have typed in here a formula. This times this is what goes into this, this cell. And then over here, I just have this cell equal this one in this row right here. But right here, I'm going to take what is in this one, multiply it by this again, and get my price. But out here, I take my total from before, and I add it. So that is H3, see H3, and I add it. I add what is in G4 to H3. Right there, that's my formula. And I wrote those formulas in there, and then I just hovered over. You see how I get a little cross when I hover over that bottom right-hand corner, and I pulled that down. So I have that same formula, and it updates it. It goes H4 to G5, H5 to G6. It updates it for you when you pull it down. And over here, when I just pulled this one down, right? This one says E3, F3. And when I held over this, I pulled it down, then it changes it to E4, F4, E5, F5, and so forth. So anyway, I got those formulas in there. So really the only thing you have to do, we even put what is in here, what we need for pieces. All you have to do is put the quantities in here. Okay. So we talked about this in class. I don't want to rehash everything we did in class, but this is the spreadsheet. So put your quantities in here as we do them. So we have 2.5, and then we have two 2x6 16-foot, two 2x12 or 2x6 12-foot. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to do that. So right here we're going to say 2, and right here we're going to say 2. And we had 23 pieces of rebar if we go back and look. So far it's going to cost us $471.66 just for the materials to pour that piece of concrete. Okay. So this is this part right here. Okay. This part right here comes from activity 2.2.1, which we did together in class. Okay. The rest of this is going to be activity 2.2.2, which is going to be estimating the rest of the things on that spreadsheet. Okay. And I don't know if I can I get rid of that? There we go. So it's going to be the rest of the things on that spreadsheet. So the next thing we have on our spreadsheet down here are our walls. So to figure out our studs, when we do this, I'm looking at this. These are our long walls. These are our short walls. It doesn't matter. Technically, this would be, if we looked at this, this would be what? North. This would be south. This would be east, and this would be west. Some people like to do it that way. We're just going to call them long and short for now. But anyway, so the next couple videos are going to be us going through those in our notebooks, what you should have in your notebook. Now, what I see a lot when I look at these notebooks, the last thing I'm going to talk about, over-explain with what you write down. See up here, I actually said I need 2 at 16 foot by 2 by 6. These 2 by 6s, this measurement and this measurement. The 16 foot is the length on this little drawing. So you got to over-explain what you're doing. Even though it might seem obvious, your job is to be so clear that somebody who doesn't know what you are doing can figure out what you did. And this is a hard thing for people in school. You think you just got to come up with the right answer, and that is not true. You also have to communicate. And this is the way you're communicating right now, is writing things down. Okay, so that is going to be the end of this video because I'm going to be running out of time. And next time we'll start doing these walls. All right.